Hello my fellow book addicts, Megan here, and time for another book review. Today I'm going to be talking about How to Hang a Witch by Arianna Mather. So in this book, our main character is Sam. She's a high school student, and we start the book off with her and her stepmother moving to Salem, into her family's old house. She spent most of her life growing up in New York, only a very few of her early years in Salem. And because of her heritage, she is a direct descendant of Cotton Mather, who had a huge role in the Salem witch trials back in the day. And because of this association, she is hardly welcomed back with open arms, especially by a group of students known as the Descendants, who are direct descendants from those who were accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials. And because some crazy occurrences, accidents, and deaths that have happened since Sam has moved to Salem, it hasn't helped people's opinion of her. Now, I was so excited when I heard about this book. The second I heard that it involved the Salem witch trials, I had to buy it. And so I did, as you can see, and I was so looking forward to reading it. I was so hyped going into this. But unfortunately, the book just didn't live up to that hype, which really sucks. And I'm going to do my best to keep this a spoiler-free review. I'm going to switch things up a bit and try and not do a spoilery section. So I think the first thing that really took away from the story for me is just how some of the students treated Sam. It was like the second she told her name, that she was Samantha Mather, everyone treated her differently because of that. Which frankly, in present day Salem, seems really freaking weird to me. That not just students, but adults would treat this one kid differently or hostilely just because some ancestor of hers 300 years ago took part in a tragic and horrible event. Like, maybe if the book was set a few centuries into the past, and it was slightly more recent, maybe I can understand. You know, family members being a little bit hostile to those who took part in the Salem witch trials, for those who supported it, so for those who pushed it forward and were accusing, and I can understand that maybe a little bit more. But then again, considering this was a Puritan society and witchcraft was a horrible thing to them in their eyes, maybe they wouldn't have. Who am I to say? But I do know in present-day Massachusetts, someone being treated hostilely for something their ancestor did several hundred years earlier just didn't seem realistic to me. And then just how some of Salem was portrayed seemed a little off to me. I've never lived in Salem, Massachusetts, but having lived in Massachusetts my whole life, as well as within a half-hour drive of Salem, I don't know, I might not be the best person to judge how Salem works, like, as a community, but how some of it was portrayed just rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. There were times in the book that you would think Salem is this, little dingy, out in the middle of nowhere town that kind of has its own little way of doing things. Somewhere where the community is really close-knit and they aren't fond of newcomers and all that, if any of that makes sense. So that definitely put me off the story a little bit. I also could not take the Descendants seriously. Like, these high schoolers openly going around calling themselves the Descendants. And other students calling them the Descendants. It just, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. It just felt really like Mean Girls cliche to me, you know, the plastics. You know. And also, whenever I read the word Descendants, the only thing that popped up to my head is Disney's Descendants, so that definitely did not help things at all. It just was really cheesy, and then the Disney Descendants popped in my head, just took any possible seriousness I could feel about this, and about these people, just took it away. And the thing that probably altered my opinion the most about this book, and it's probably the most obvious because it's right in front of my face, but I'm apparently super dense and unobservant, The author's last name is Mather, and upon reading the little back thing about the author, we find out that she is apparently a direct descendant from Cotton Mather. And she shares a few other traits with the main character as well. They're both vegetarian, I believe, and they both pretty much grew up in New York. Maybe if I didn't notice that and didn't read about the author, my opinions might be a little bit different. But after learning that and then continue on reading, because I found that out about halfway through, it felt self-inserty to me. Just knowing those little similarities could not shake the idea of a self-insert story from my head. I doubt that's what Arianna Mather intended as she was writing it. I doubt she intended to insert herself into the story as the main character. But that's all I could think as I was reading, that is this a self-insertion story? Is she writing about herself but with a different name and a few different traits? And that personally distracted me from the story a lot, which really sucks because this has an interesting premise. But because of all those things, it's like I just couldn't bring myself to really like or love this book. In reality, I don't hate it, but I'm just kind of meh about it. I don't regret reading it, but there are probably some other things I would have rather read instead of it. For other parts of the book, the characters are okay. Sam, I kind of had mixed feelings about. I didn't love her, but I didn't despise her either. I was just kind of meh about her. She aggravated me quite a bit of the time with her attitude. I actually enjoyed Elijah's character. I think I actually enjoyed Elijah's character more than Sam's. I won't say I don't recommend it because, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I'm just kind of meh about it. So I would recommend maybe getting it from the library to see if it's something you might like instead of outright buying it. And I do know I'm not going to read the second book in the series. I can't even remember what it's called, but I know it involves something with the Titanic. Frankly, I think How to Hang a Witch wrapped up really well, and I don't see the need to read the second book, especially since I didn't fully enjoy this one. So I'm not willing to kind of take that risk and waste that time on something that I feel meh about to begin with. So yeah, I'm definitely not gonna continue on with the one about the Titanic. And that's really all I have to say. I can't really vouch too much for the historical aspects. Some of what I remember from my school learnings and what I've learned on Salem tours, what I know seems correct enough. And there was a point in the book where I mentioned a memorial to those who are accused of witchcraft, those who are hung in Salem, and it did a pretty good job describing it. I've been there a few times and it was pretty accurate from the descriptions. So I'm not sure about the facts and stuff that I don't know about, but from what I know, things seem accurate. But I'm not a historian. I don't know all the facts by heart, so can't say for sure. And really, that's all I gotta say. I kind of wish I had something more to say, more positive things to say, but just those negativities that I mentioned, I couldn't shake them. So, I don't know. So yeah, that's it for this review, and I hope to see you guys next time.